hearing for this evening. And so for those who are joining, we have almost a full school board. So we have Rob Nato, Andrea Folsom, Norm Goupel, and myself, Jim O'Brien, and we're joined by Superintendent Chamberlain and Michelle Clark. And so we have, this is a public hearing. So we sent a public notice, which I'll read just so everybody knows what we're here for. So the notice read, the Hopkinton School Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 16th at 5 o'clock. So we're at the right place. Remotely for the purpose of gathering public input on the withdrawal of funds from the school district building repair and maintenance fund. And then we have 3 items for consideration this evening. The Hopkinton Middle and High School elevator repairs at a cost of $92,400. Paving in front of the SAU office for $9,860, and additional funds to support the George Park project of $2,000. And so we use this opportunity to hear from the public and answer questions from the board, as the superintendent, on any of these items. And then at the end of the public hearing, we'll adjourn. And then these are action items for the regular board meeting, and we can discuss any of the public comments we received, any adjustments we may want to make as a board to any of these items. And so maybe with that, I would ask Steve, if you don't mind, maybe adding some more detail to these items. And then what I'll do for process-wise, I'll ask the board if they have any questions after you're done presenting, Steve, and then open it up to the public for any sort of public comments that they have. So with that,
happy
Steve?
to. That works great. Thank you. So just a little bit, this work is guided by our capital improvement plan program, and we had a meeting and there's an update in the full agenda. So there's a document that really looks at our projections and what we needed. So we found out in the spring of significant repairs to our elevator of $92,400. It's actually a Stanley elevator with the elevator business, after checking with our facility support, building committee vendors, it is very proprietary. So this would be a significant refurbishment, parts and springs and doors, and it would put us in really good shape for a long term of $92,400. The next piece is, for the last couple of years, we have tried to look at joining the town bid for paving. So we tried to do some paving on our own. It just wasn't cost effective. It was just a huge bid, and a huge number when we tried to bid. So we had put it with Dan Blanchette and Neil the next time they went out to bid to look at some paving. Now, originally we had paving plans at our schools, but postponed that due to the facility project. We didn't want to interrupt big truck placement and trailer placement or things like that. But the driveway that is the Maple Street side of the building right in front of the bay window, that piece of pavement is just about gone. It is parking sometimes for SAU visitors. It is parking when Maple Street has any kind of event. And in the winter time, because of the condition of the driveway, it is a slip hazard, it's a hazard, and it's a monster for us to plow, and it gets worse and worse every year. So this number was presented during, Dan brought the paving companies, when they did the bid, they brought them to the SAU building and gave us that piece as part of the bid with the town, just under $10,000. So last year, or even 2 years ago now, the board supported a $20,000 withdrawal of the maintenance trust to support the irrigation plan, phase 1, if you will, at George Park. So we cut down trees, we did some culvert work and did some paving and some burn work. Because what was happening is that any big storm, our drainage would overflow from the roof of the high school gym in that area, and it would flood a significant portion of George Park, the field. And as the committee looked, the select board and the committee looked at George Park, one of the first things we had to do was secure the conditions so we weren't continually repairing. And our piece of this was estimated at $20,000, but now they're just finishing the paving and they're getting there. They came up just $2,000 short. So this $2,000 completes the school district portion of realigning all the paving, putting in berm, putting in culverts, and though it's just about done, Dan did report that under the heavy rains, we had some heavy rains, it held, and it wasn't even complete yet, that we didn't flood George Park. So this is for someone who's at the high school for a long time and seen this, this is an exciting, you know, I'm excited about bathrooms, I'm excited about this kind of stuff. So that we are solidifying and fixing permanently the drainage on George Park. So when the town and the school get together to look at fences or to look at bathrooms or to look at the next phases, we know we're building on secure ground. So those are the rationale for those projects. Just a little bit of update where we are in CIP so the board and the community can get a big picture. The CIP is supposed to be, if it's going well, is a living document. Regular review, Michelle and Noah and the subcommittee, Andrea, Jim, and I, we meet regularly to review, and some things go on, some things come off. And what has come off recently is some refrigeration at the middle and high school. That's about $50,000-ish that came off because it was only necessary there if we had to support the facility project and the kitchen renovation, and that obviously didn't happen. So that's off. Air conditioning, there was a placeholder for air conditioning for HMS office, but as the facility project, the new office with the plan is actually the air conditioning of the new office is included. So that came off the CIP. And the board, when they supported taking a look at the unreserved fund balance, took hot water heater number 2 off, $20,000. So there is some more room, some capacity, which we really like in the CIP. If we do all the projected work, and so we have a meeting tonight, and there'll probably be one more of these in the summer as we continue some work. We'll have a public hearing to tackle cathodic protection of a tank over at Harold and other little projects. We'll have to do one more of these. But for the year, the entire year, we're projected at, if we get everything done, about $250,000, $251,000 worth of work. And if we did that, that would leave us with just under $90,000. So that's a good place to be. Michelle and I, and we probably won't deploy all of those funds because we want a little bit of self-insurance during the winter months in case we do lose a boiler. But the hope is for the fiscal year that we hope to get pretty close to those number of projects. Again, the CIP is a living and breathing document. The authorization tonight that would engage us, so it would allow us to engage the vendor to fix the elevator. It would allow us to give the final go-ahead to Dan to notify the paving when they're doing the town to pave that little space, make that less of a trip hazard and better parking. And it would give us the final funds to put the drainage project through completion over at the high school in George Park.
That's great, Steve. Thanks. Any questions from the board for Steve? Norm?
Maybe Jim or Andrea or Michelle or Steve can answer this question. If we make this this repair on the elevator, do we have to plan this for the future for a CIP moving forward? And what is the longevity of an elevator in our school district?
It's probably a good question for Steve.
So I think we'll have regular inspections. And at the regular inspections, we'll put out some regular renovation work. This is more than just, you know, continued maintenance. But we do expect, I think they said, Michelle, they said this would give us 10 years in this elevator. And that's kind of where we're looking. But it was time, it's springs, it's doors, it's a real refurbishment that would make this stable. And it really connects with our project, facility project, in that classroom, right, is no longer going to have the elevator open up to it. So it's really good stuff.
So can the CIP plan for that? Can, Jim? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably a good idea to add this to the CIP and maybe, you know, maybe look at 10 years out and adding this as a cost item, at least as a placeholder. And as we get closer, we can, you know, see how that shakes out. But yeah, thanks, Norm. That's a good question.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Any other questions on any item?
Steve, I assume when they do that paving at the SAU, they're going to grind that all up and regrade it. And
right. It's soup to nuts. It is. Yeah. It's not going over the top. There's nothing to go over the top of.
I looked at it yesterday as I was going by. It looks a little rough.
And they're going to regrade and repoint the. It's also our fully accessible entrance for the SAU.
Right.
And it's time to do that. So they will repoint and reconfigure that at appropriate slope as part of the project. They are aware of that necessity, as that's our fully accessible door.
That's the doorway to the right of the bay window, right?
Yes, you got it.
Cool, thanks.
Steve, my only question is on the elevator. if we do that, well, I guess will the repair, if we make the decision tonight, will that be in effect for the beginning of school this year?
That's our plan. Michelle is working with the vendors. And so, yes, I think I feel pretty good about a July 16th approval. Our first day of school right now is slated as August 31. So I think I like our chances.
That's great. All right. If there's no other questions from the board, I would invite any member of the public who is with us as attendees. If you have a comment on any of these three items, the elevator, the paving of for the SAU, and the funds to complete the George Park project. If you wish to comment on any of these, just go down to the bottom of your screen and hit the raise hand feature, and we can unmute you and invite you to provide a comment. All right, well, I'm not seeing anybody who wishes to provide a comment, so we'll give another minute or so. And so I know someone just joined, so I'll just sort of repeat again. So if there's anybody who wishes to provide public comment on any of the three items that were noticed for this meeting, which were the Hopkinton Middle and High School elevator repairs, the paving in front of the SAU office, or the additional funds to support the George Park project, if anybody has comments on any of those three items, now would be your time to provide those public comments. Our plan is at the end of this public hearing, we'll open up our regular board meeting, and these will be action items during that board meeting. So if anybody wishes to provide public comments here, you just have to go down to the bottom of your screen and hit the raise hand button.
You're reaching hard. Good job.
I'm making sure. All right, so no one's taking me up on my offer, and so so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the public hearing, and then I would just ask, I'll adjourn this public hearing meeting, and just for the board, we have about 10 minutes before our regular meeting starts, and so if you'd like to grab some pizza or hot dog or something, now's the time, and we'll see you all in about 10 minutes, and there's a separate link for that meeting.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. So see you in about 10 minutes.